Hello and welcome everyone again to another video. And today's video I am joined here by Mr. Lyljeffs, a regional champion, multi-regionals champion, and we're gonna be yapping about moves we hope to be implemented soon in the game. I have some suggestions and he will provide his input. As if you look at this screen here, he won so many regionals. Like Lyle, how many did you win? 3, 4, 5?
Just 2.
Just 2. Okay, I think people would love just one. So
not quite as good as Doombug, so
okay, almost there. You won 2 regionals. You qualified for World every time, or just last season?
Just this season and last season.
Okay, so 2 times World qualifier, regionals this year twice, and second once, almost 3. And I have some Pokemons I would like your feedback on, as you are like a pro player, also someone who hit the leaderboard. I think you hit number 1. When I looked at some point on leaderboard, you hit 3500 in GBL pretty much every season. So
yeah,
so
but I haven't never hit number 1.
You've never hit number 1?
Number 2 twice.
Number 2 twice?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, some people would be jealous just of number 5, not even number. Just be on leaderboard. Okay. So, Lyle, I look at Indianapolis Regional, and it's pretty much similar to any regional. The difference is the top 4 just always swing which one is number 1, 2, 3, 4. And for the last 3 months, I would say meta has been the same. For the last 6 months, meta has also been the same with one exception, which is Annihilate.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like the meta has been stale, or like the meta has just been fine, or like you're enjoying this meta since like it's someone who is competing pretty much at every regional?
I don't mind the meta. I think there has been some changes. Like I think Altaria usage has definitely increased within the last like month or 2. Okay. And like basically since the release of Annihilate, its usage has slowly been increasing pretty much every regional. So I think we have like a diverse meta, but I do think there are some Pokemon that are like kind of like limiting the growth as well. So
limiting the growth. So if we're talking about GBL, because most people like pretty much, let's say my viewer, most of the time they care about GBL and they like to watch regionals. So pretty much their own focus is GBL. Like when you play GBL, what the Pokemon be like? Okay, I wish this Pokemon just get nerfed.
Main one would be like Skarmory. Second one would probably be Lantern.
Skarmory, Lantern. Well, to be fair, if I look at Lantern, like the Niantic tried to nerf Lantern and they ended up making it just an entirely different Pokemon. I would say it was more of like a rework. So technically Lantern got reworked 3 times so far, and in every time they failed to nerf it. In fact, they made it slightly better with the recent change to Spark. So how could you nerf Lantern without affecting other Pokemons? Because I mean, think they pretty much nerfed Water Gun Lantern, let's say.
They just have to rework Spark again, right? Like if you think about the meta, like nothing really uses Spark other than Lantern, right? Because they've given all other viable electric types Volt Switch, which is also very strong. So, like, look at Charjabug. Like, it has Spark as well, but you would always use Volt Switch, right?
Okay.
So I think they can definitely just maybe make the final adjustments to Spark that they initially thought. Maybe drop the damage down by 1 and keep the energy the same. That might help, like, reduce its strength in some of the neutral matchups. Because, like, the thing is, like, it's actually, like, pretty good into things like Lickitung, which you would think were like actual counters to Lantern back in the day, right?
Yeah, Licky used to be like the main counter to Lantern. Now Lantern, if Lantern shields a Power Web, you pretty much, if you shield the Power Web, land a Thunderbolt, you just win that matchup.
The Sparks do a lot of damage in neutral matchups. So I think if they did drop the Spark damage by 1, that would kind of balance out Lantern a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, for the Skarmory, like, I think when they, like, reworked the Spark, buffed Gligar and Whiscash, they kind of made a good balance, I would say. And then all of their work was just demolished by buffing Skarmory for literally no obvious reason. I don't know what they were trying to do. I think they were trying to make more counters to Gligar, but then because of the buff to Skarm, they pretty much killed every hope for the grass Pokemons. Like, you can't use any grass.
Yeah, so there's like two ways you can get around that. Either, again, like reduce potential like damage on Steel Wing, because Skarm is sort of almost like a tap mon at times, where it's like the Steel Wing damage is so oppressive. It is slow, but the combination of like Steel Wing, Brave Bird is like very strong.
Yeah. Like, I like your point here, because I remember every time I play Skarm, I just literally tab for 10 seconds and then throw after. Like
and they're like half health by that point, anyways, because of the Steel Wing damage, right?
Exactly.
You just need basically Sky attacks.
Like, the matchup I could think of is like into Annihilate. You just keep into Vigoroth. You just tab. Like, you literally throw right before they get to the second move. Like, let's say if they throw Rock Slide, you throw before the second the Body Slam after. If they Body Slam, you throw before the Rock Slide, because pretty much at that point they will be in range of Sky Attack, so they will be forced to shield a bad move, which is always like a horrible decision to do, to be honest. So we've never seen Niantic insta nerfing a move after buffing it. Well, to be fair, they did it with Steelix, because they made a huge problem with Steelix, because they made Steelix just extremely powerful of a Pokemon. So
they've done it a few times, like the season after. One example I can remember was Feather Dance.
Yeah.
They nerfed Feather Dance the season after, and no one even used it the season it was introduced, because they banned Pidgeot, right?
Exactly. So that was kind of funny. Like, they buffed Pidgeot, and it was so powerful to the point where, like, they buff it, and literally they banned it day one.
Yeah, because it was crashing. Yeah, it was crashing the game, right?
It was crashing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. So, Lickitung. I'm not a fan of nerfing Lickitung, to be honest. It's a Pokemon that people invest in a lot. It's an XL Pokemon, so usually Niantic is kinda, it's not just Niantic. I believe all the gacha collecting games, they tend to be more... They tend to think twice before nerfing stuff that requires tons of resources. And stuff that everyone has as well. So, usually those stuff gets a slight nerf. An example for that, Registeel.
Right. I don't think, personally, Lickitung is, like, that strong. It's good, just because it doesn't, like, hard lose to, like, a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't, like, it's not, like, hard destroying things as well, right? So...
Yeah. I think that boy Jay once said, like, the strength of Lickitung is basically, it's like the king of the neutral matchups. You either soft win or soft lose. So it's kind of a safe Pokemon, but at this point, like, I think it's kind of becoming a liability of a Pokemon where, like, everyone knows how to handle Lickitung. So...
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, but I mean, the cup I had over the weekend, I had some troubles dealing with Lickitung, so if you don't have it lined up right, because it does just do really well in those neutral scenarios, like Charjabug, Wishcash, even Annihilate. It can put in quite a bit of work there, right? And I do like the fact that it can fight back against Annihilate. Whereas, like, obviously Vigoroth is
they have
bad.
to shield the Power Whip. If they don't shield the Power Whip, it's kind of like a scuffed matchup at that point. And, like, it's supposed to be a fighter which is, like, you use your own Annihilate to beat the normal type, and then that matchup is just so scuffed.
Right, so if they try to introduce things that when you're countering something, it's not like a full RPS.
Yeah.
There's some counterplay that's allows for more flexibility and exciting gameplay, I would say, because, like, no one wants to see where every matchup is Annihilate Vigoroth, right? Like, that's not exciting. The match is decided in the team preview portion, not the actual gameplay, right?
Exactly. So there is no gameplay. It's like having your dragon aligned against a fairy. So now moving into GBL, like, the thing I hear people complaining the most about is a Scald.
Yeah.
And the main two Pokemons are, like, Whiscash in Great League, Polyrath, not as much in Great League anymore because of Annihilate, in Ultra League, Tenta, and Polyrath. So, how do you feel about this called now, Lyle?
That is a good question. I don't like. It's funny because Wishcash sort of usage is dropping a little bit in the play Pokemon circuit. As for GBL, it's still around, but I think it is a little less common. They could probably drop it a little bit.
Let me correct you here. It's less common at high MMR, okay? And there is only 500 people who have high MMR.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's really strong, regardless. So, could they rework Scald? Sure. I don't think it's like. I think it's not as bad now as it used to be for some reason, and I'm not quite sure why. But
yeah. If you remember the first regional that Doombug won, he was basically safe swapping Whiscash every game, debuffing, straight debuff, whether it's resisted and neutral or like super effective, always a Scald, get 2 debuffs, flip swap, win game. But it's not now as popular, and I don't know the reason. Is it like a Cress?
Lot of Cress, lot of Altaria.
And Dugong, I guess.
Actually, so Annihilate has a pretty darn good matchup into.
Oh, that's why,
Shadow Cash.
Yeah, makes sense. That's why Lantern is more common now because it can, it has a decent play into Annihilate.
Yeah,
because the Spark eventually put them in Surf, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like with Shadow Cash, basically they can just land like a Night Slash and just like punch you down, basically.
Okay, now we've seen some sort of Mandibuzz usage, but it's still shy in the meta. Is Mandibuzz any good after the Aerial Ace buff, or you still prefer to have Shadow Gligar?
That is a good question. I think Mandibuzz is pretty strong, but it is a little less flexible than Gligar.
Okay. What about Azu? Like, it got a buff last season. It's good in like GBL. It's very, very great. Like, it's very great, good. Like, there were like I think a themed cup last season. What's the Flygon Cup? What was it? Can you fix your
Fantasy
camera?
Cup?
Your camera is blurry.
Oh, sorry. Fantasy Cup.
Yeah, Fantasy Cup as was everywhere, even though there was like a tons of Registeel and Discarmory. And as in GBL is very dominant, but it's not as dominant in play Pokemon. Is it because it's too slow or because Licky Cress are everywhere? Licky Cress Lantern, basically.
I'm trying to fix my camera here. I think it is twofold. Like,
go.
Yeah, I think the main problem with Azu right now is just its pacing. Like, and the rise of Shadow Cash. Like, Azu used to be like pretty good into normal cash, but Shadow Cash is like kind of awkward for it because they're just so spammy and it just doesn't hit like hard enough, really. So
yeah, like there is this Battle Frontier Cup, and I played it like the most, the one with Azu, and like
Serene.
Yeah, Serene. Like the fact that Shadow was cash, even with a horrible IV flip the Azu, like made me like, I don't know. I played 4 weeks. I dominated 3 of them just to swapping Shadow Cash. They bring in Azu, flip swap every time. Just kind of funny. Do you think they will like? I don't know. Do you think they would ever give Azu a debuff move? Because
I'm
now,
not sure. That seems a little crazy, but I guess anything's possible.
Yeah. Okay, so I have some suggestions now, and I'm gonna tell you my suggestion, and you're gonna tell me whether that's so crazy, that's something you prefer to see, that's
probably
something
crazy, but
you would hate to see. So I have the theory is like, if you wanna make something meta, you have to make it stronger than the meta. Some people say like, no, just make the meta, like just nerf the meta instead. So first suggestion, Mantine with Surf or Scald, which helps the Mantine into A/, Scarm, and Sableye. Like, is that something you would like to see, or you hate to see?
Scald is interesting. Maybe Surf would be better because, again, if we're already hating on Scald, maybe it's probably not a good idea to give more Pokemon Scald. Surf is a really good move, and it's stab, so it would be lower energy than Water Pulse.
The Surf is actually decent enough to flip the A/ matchup.
Yeah, I think Surf could be interesting for it.
And it's a surfing Pokemon. Like, it looks the most surfing Pokemon in the entire game.
And would make it a little more consistent in the Gligar
Yeah.
because the problem is like Gligar, you're usually swapping into the Gligar down energy, and the Gligar always like double shields,
And it's
then
Shadow.
they just wing attack you and spam aerial laces, right?
Yeah, I looked into the Gligar matchup. If they are non-Shadow, you win regardless. If they are Shadow, once they land Aerial Ace, they can just double shield wing attack you down. Which is kind of a
Yeah.
horrible situation. Like, you're water into a ground Pokemon. How is the ground beating the water, right?
And that's why the Manteens like to bait a lot, because like they know that they're gonna shield. But if the Gligar calls an aerial ace, it's like horrible.
Yeah, like, but the problem is like Gligar is good with Aerial Ace because Gligar somewhat hits hard. Mantine with Aerial Ace is bad because Mantine doesn't hit hard. So the Aerial Ace is just doing some shy damage. Second one, Charjabug. I know you won regional because your opponent kept bringing Charjabug in Vancouver, and you were playing Gligar like every game.
Yeah, sometimes they did bring Charjabug into my my team. Yep.
So with the Charjabug, I looked into the entire moveset that this Pokemon could have, and I could say pretty much Niantic gave us the best option that this Pokemon could have moveset typing wise. So the problem is not the typing or the moveset. You mentioned that the problem is the damage that these moves does. So how could they make Charjabug better? Because when I played Charjabug, I literally only used X-Scissor, and if X-Scissor is a bad move to throw, that means I'm in a bad matchup.
Exactly. Yeah. So like things like neutral scenarios, mainly against flyers, and things that like, and I'm thinking specifically like Altaria and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you had a better neutral charge move to throw when X Scissor is resisted, I think that would really help, like against some steel types, specifically like Sand Slash and even sometimes when Discharge is super effective, like the Mandibuzz matchup and stuff, and even Azu is like can be very sus at times because Charjabug just doesn't deal as much damage as you need it to at times with its super effective charge move.
So okay, would you think would you consider the solution to be buff Discharge or a Crunch? Because those are the only two options that Charjabug could have to hit the Gligar with somewhat, I don't know, somewhat damage, let's say.
I like Discharge X-Scissor moveset mostly, but I think Crunch is a pretty decent move. It's you do have the debuff chance, right? But
yeah. And I think if you land the Crunch, you get the debuff on the Crunch, you can Volt Switch down. But hey, that requires like a Volt Switch lead or something. So it's not even a thing. So would you consider like buffing Discharge to be a key, or that still won't do it?
I think that will help a lot, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Because I think it's really strong right now and flexible in the meta. And
yeah.
Other than Gligar, like I think it has a lot of really good neutral plays, so I think it would definitely help it a lot.
Well, okay, the matchup I hate when I use Charjabug is Lantern. Somehow I lose the 0, and I don't think I'm supposed to. So they need to make that game slightly. If they can improve that game, I think Charjabug can just be improved. Because you're taking Resisted Spark, doing a neutral damage with Volt Switch and X-Scissor, and you're still losing because Lantern is bulky enough to take 2 X-Scissors and the Volt Switch damage.
Yeah, also depends on the Lantern IVs because there is like a Volt Switch bulk point, which helps out Lantern quite a bit. It's like a defense weighted Lantern, so...
I see. So now a very controversial opinion on this Pokemon. This Pokemon was supposed to have like a crazy moveset, then Niantic removed 2, which were like the 2 that we were hoping to stay. Everything else we didn't care, which is the Clodsire. Bring back Poison Jab Surf. Make Clodsire great again. What do you think, Lyle?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. Like, I'm always worried about giving these like insanely bulky Pokemon like fast move pressure. personally. Like I think it wasn't. I think they definitely killed it, but I think it could maybe be too strong with this moveset. Maybe if they just bring back Poison Jab, it could be okay.
Yeah, that's the issue now with Clodsire, is that you're so OP in themed cups, but you're so bad in GBL. Like in themed cups, let's say you swap in Vigoroth, they bring in Clodsire, there is nothing you could do. Like, they pretty much leave the matchup with a move and, like, enough health to get to almost another one.
Yep.
So if they give it Poison Jab, maybe.
They did buff Water Pulse, right? So
yes.
They could always buff it, because, like, people were speculating Water Pulse was going to be, like, 50 energy.
Okay,
but they ended up making it 55, right?
So, okay. So, sorry, for Mantine, you said buff Water Pulse even more?
Yeah, because originally people were expecting them to potentially drop Water Pulse to 50, but they ended up only making it 55, I believe. So
yeah, so you want to make
if they dropped it to 50, that could also help Clodsire.
So you want to make it Dig clone?
Basically.
Yeah, I mean, I would understand, like, you don't want to see Pokemon like that's bulky with like a spammy move. That's understandable, but yeah, Water Pulse, yeah, that's actually a good idea.
So Mantine would have the same pacing as like something like a Gligar, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be 7-6 to Water Pulses and then 5 to Air Release.
And if you land the Water Pulse, you could pretty much farm down the Shadow. While, like, you can easily get to 2 before they get to 3, which means you can always have the upper hand, which is supposed to happen. Like, you're water into a ground Pokemon. They take super effective, you take a neutral. Now, a Pokemon, I don't think that will have any use in play Pokemon. I think this is more like going to be a GBL meta breaking in either Great League or Ultra League, which is Turtonator. Do you know the Pokemon, Lyle?
Yep.
So Turtonator, if you get to Dragon Claw, look at this. From 16 wins into 25 wins. Are we talking about meta wins? If you just give it to Dragon Claw, it destroys Mandibuzz, Lantern, Sableye, Stunfisk. By just giving it D-Claw. The Ultra League, you pick up so many games as well.
Yeah, I'm wondering if some of that is helping it as like baiting.
Yes, you have a baiting move, and you
have
can
a lower energy move, right?
And you can bank more than a move.
There's not a lot of Incinerate users that have like a 35 energy move though, right? So
I think the cheapest is 45 with Incinerate, which is Skeledirge, right?
What's up? The fire Salazzle. Poison. Salazzle Poison Fang is 40, right?
Yeah, Poison Fang is 40.
So it's every 2 Incinerates, which would be the same pacing as Dragon Claw because it's 20 energy per 2 Incinerates, right?
Yeah. So how would you feel about Turtonator?
I think it could be fun, for sure. Maybe I could bring it to a local cup and try to surprise some people.
Sweep those A/ users. They bring in A/, Sableye, Lantern, you just go Turtonator, you save swap it every game. Okay, there is a Pokemon. I think it should have a decent use in the meta, and it's Goodra. But the problem with it, like, I looked at the moveset, and there is nothing that could actually help it moveset-wise. Like, Goodra can serve, like, okay, let me rephrase. An attack-weighted Goodra has the same stats as Shadow Dragonair. So, would you rather see a Dragon Claw on that, or an Outrage on that? Because an attack-weighted Goodra can destroy Licky, where you get, like, extra Dragon Breath damage on the Licky.
I think Outrage could be nice because it does have a decent amount of, like, low energy spammy moves, like Aqua Tail, and even Power Whip is not too much. It'd be nice to have a hard-hitting move that could hit neutrally on a lot of things that wasn't like Draco Meteor, you know?
Yeah.
But I could see Dragon Claw also being very helpful for it.
Okay. Yeah, like, I looked at the matchup, nothing was changed. Maybe in Ultra League, though. Yeah, maybe in Ultra League it does something better.
Just thinking for some of those bulky mons, like you're saying, like Lickitung and Cresselia and things like that, like, it's nice to have a move that, like, actually can, like, hit really hard, right?
Yeah. Now, I think the Pokemon that we're waiting for a community day, which is Primarina, having Hydro Cannon, I don't think Hydro Cannon, I looked up the matchup, it doesn't help Primarina in the 1 or the 2, but in the 0, you get 5 more wins.
So a charm or waterfall?
Yeah, and this is one of the Pokemons that will be good all over the place. Great League, Ultra League, Master League. So, would you rather see this? Are you sick of A9, or you don't mind A9, or you're fine with this?
Well, yeah, I think this would be fine. It at least gives it some sort of water coverage from the charge moves, because right now it's like Hydro Pump, right? So
pretty much. And like, you know, like every time we have Pokemon Go World Championship, there's like 2 Pokemons that will always appear, which is Shadow Charizard and Venusaur. Do you think those will be ever good? It will ever be good again, or do you hope for a buff for Trevenant as well? Because
I think Charizard, some people are coping it's good right now, but I think there's too much spamminess and bulk in the meta.
Yeah.
Like back when Charizard was good, things were a little bit slower to their charge moves.
Pretty much.
You have like Gligar, and you have Lickitung is very common now, and like because back then it was like Medi, Reggie,
Umbreon.
Noctowl, right?
Umbreon,
Like
yeah.
Umbreon a little bit slower and didn't hit as hard. So I do think they should buff Trev again, because if they're not going to nerf Skarmory, then I think buffing Trev would be like a good way to bring grass back into the meta, because having that bait potential really helps it in a lot of matchups.
Yeah, like I remember people were like hoping for nerfing to Trev because the meta was very RPS back then, which is Lantern, Noctowl, Trev. Now Noctowl is dead.
Right.
The waters
and
are
the
everywhere.
flyers are Gligar and Skarm, right?
Yeah. And
Altaria.
If they make it 5 again, like 5 to fast move, that will help Trev a lot, like especially in Gligar matchup. If you are ahead, you can always get the shield farm down if you want. You still win the 1, and I think against the Skarmory, or the 2. I'm not sure which one. So
you have to bait in some of those because, like, basically,
the 2
Skarm
was basically
farms
just
you
shield.
down.
Yeah, you just shield, and whenever they no shield, you Shadow Ball, you just farm down from there. So among those 3, because some point here. The European players always bring Shadow Venusaur to Worlds. Because Shadow Venusaur tends to have a good matchup whenever you land a Frenzy. As an example, the Shadow A/ matchup. If you land Frenzy, you can just 2 shield from there. So do you think we will see Shadow Venusaur coming in Worlds this year, or Pokemons are just too fast and Venusaur is just too slow?
Yeah, I think it's a little too slow right now. Like even with Annihilate, because like you don't need Ice Punch because you just spam Night Slashes, right? And counters plus Night Slash do like, so it's not even really countering the fighter anymore, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sure it has like the greatest place right now. I think there's other ways you can counter Wishcash, like with Altaria or Lickitung, that are a little more flexible in the meta. Because Altaria has like somewhat playable matchup into something like Skarmory. Also Talonflame I think is still really good in this meta, so I don't know. I think there's a lot of threats for Venusaur. Maybe if people do bring it end up being a lot of mainly like bench pressure.
I see. So from those 3, you think you would prefer to see a buff to Trev?
Yeah, a buff to Trev, and one additional thing is I think they should revert Psychic on Medicham. Because we have Annihilate now. We have another fighter that can beat Medicham, right?
Okay.
So we don't need to worry about Medicham being like overpowered in the meta. But buffing Psychic will give Medicham the ability to fight back against Annihilate and win certain shielding scenarios against it. So you will actually be able to have a choice over which fighter you want to use on your team.
Well, I was thinking of something else, but I deleted the slide for some reason. I was hoping they rework Psycho Boost into from debuffing the power the Deoxys defense into just by 2 stages into just 1 stage, or just make it like a Body Slam clone. It's like DD can have a play into the meta. The only problem with it is the meta is very swap dependent.
Yeah.
In some matchups, because especially like in a Scald meta, Like if you get scalded, and then you have to swap out, pretty much similar to using DD now. If you use Psycho Boost, you have to give up alignment, and in some cases, you don't want to have your Gly get aligned into some Dugong or some, I don't know, some Whiscashes right here and there.
Yes.
So,
I get you.
Yeah. So, Medi or DD, which one would you rather see?
Metacham.
Medicham. So yeah, thank you so much, Lyle, for joining me. Where can people find you, by the way?
Well, you have it there, twitter.com, Lyljeffs3, or Twitch, Lyljeffs3 as well. SJ as well.
Yeah, SJ, no, we cancelled him. He didn't show up. So yeah, SJ was also supposed to join us, but I think something came up last minute with him, so he wasn't able to. So yeah, thank you so much, Lyle, for joining me on today's video. And how frequently do you stream?
I stream a couple times a week for sure, sometimes more.
Is there a schedule where people can go and check you out?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Is there a specific day or no?
Not currently, but I'm working on it.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you for joining me, Lyljeffs. 2 times regional champion, 1 time second place, definitely killing it. I think one of 3 that is expected to win Worlds if we are looking at the numbers. So yeah, good luck.
Let's see how it goes.
Good luck. I know you're gonna face some of my teammates in Worlds, so I hope both wins.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, anything else you wanna say?
I think that's everything. Thank you for having me on, and yeah, I'm looking forward to a shakeup because I am getting a little bored of the current meta. So,
okay, once before we finish, which of these Pokemons you wish never comes to the meta? Skarmory. I think Skarmory is pretty much the answer for everyone. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much everyone for watching. This is the end of the video. Make sure to follow Lyle's stream. I will be leaving in the description below. This is the end of the video. See you in the next one. Peace.